The spice route, the great journey that changed the fate of the world. The immense power hidden in tiny seeds. Open your kitchen cabinet. You will see pepper, cinnamon, cloves, and nutmeg. Today, they are common items of little significant value. But there was a time, in a world before refrigeration, before circumnavigational voyages, when these small seeds and dried barks were more precious than gold. They were the driving force behind great maritime expeditions, the cause of brutal wars, and the key to redrawing the map of the world. This is the story of the spice trade, a global network spanning thousands of years, and its heart, the origin of its power, was none other than the region of Southeast Asia. How did these spices hold such formidable power? And what was Southeast Asia's role in this global conflict that shaped our world? Let us begin a journey back in time. The ancient dawn, before 500 CE. The secret of the Spice Islands. The history of the spice route began with a secret kept by nature. For thousands of years, two of the most precious spices, cloves and nutmeg, grew wild in only one place on the entire planet. A tiny cluster of volcanic islands in modern-day eastern Indonesia, nicknamed the Spice Islands, also known as the Moluccas or Maluku. To be even more specific, cloves were found only on the 5 small islands of Ternate, Tidore, Moti, Makian, and Bokin. Nutmeg was even rarer, found only on the Banda Islands. This natural monopoly made them the most exclusive commodities on Earth. The first to unlock this treasure were the native Austronesian sailors. With simple but effective boats, they established the first trade routes, exchanging spices for food and other goods among the islands. Gradually, their aroma spread farther. Archaeological evidence has found traces of cloves in Syria, dating back to 1700 BCE. Arab and Indian merchants, with their superior maritime skills, eventually reached the edges of this network. They did not know the exact location of the Spice Islands. It was a secret guarded by the local sailors like a treasure map. Instead, they traded at intermediary ports in Java and Sumatra, buying spices at a high price to then sell them on to the Middle East, Egypt, and Rome, thus forming the first links of the global spice route. The golden age of Middlemen Empires, 500 CE, 1500. Power at the Strait of Malacca. Entering the medieval period, Southeast Asia's role shifted from a mysterious source to an organized center of commercial power. Maritime empires, or thalassocracies, rose and grew rich not by cultivating spices, but by controlling the flow of trade. The Srivijaya Empire, 7th, 13th centuries. From its capital in Palembang on Sumatra, Srivijaya dominated the Strait of Malacca, the world's most vital sea lane. Every ship carrying spices from the east or textiles from the west had to pass through here and pay taxes. Srivijaya became a colossal intermediary empire, a wealthy superpower with vast Buddhist cultural influence, the Sultanate of Malacca, 15th century. After Srivijaya's decline, Malacca rose to take its place, reaching an even more glorious height. Malacca was described as the Venice of the East. At its peak, one could hear over 80 languages spoken in its port. Merchants from Gujarat, Bengal, Persia, Arabia, Ikai, and China all gathered here. Spices from the Moluccas were brought to Malacca, then sold to Indian and Arab merchants, from where they continued their long journey to Europe. Malacca was the golden gatehouse that controlled the entire treasure of the East, the European Age of Discovery, 1498, 1600, the race to the Promised Land. By the time these spices reached Europe, they had passed through a long chain of middlemen, from Muslim traders in the Middle East to the monopoly merchants of Venice and Genoa in Italy. At each stop, their price multiplied many times over. A small bag of peppercorns in Europe could be worth a fortune. This exorbitant cost created an irresistible motivation. European nations like Portugal and Spain had to find a direct sea route to the east to break the monopoly of the Muslims and Venetians. The world's great age of discovery began, and its ultimate prize was spices. 1498, Vasco da Gama reaches India. The Portuguese navigator made history, when he led the first expedition to sail around Africa, opening a direct sea route to Asia. Although he only brought back a small cargo of pepper, the profit was enough to prove the route's enormous potential. 1511. Portugal conquers Malacca. The military strategist Afonso de Albuquerque understood that to control spices, one had to control Malacca. With a fleet equipped with superior cannons, he attacked and captured the city. This was a geopolitical shock. For the first time, a European power had set foot in and shattered the Asian trade network from within. 1521. Magellan and the circumnavigation. The rivalry between Spain and Portugal was also fueled by spices. Ferdinand Magellan undertook the first circumnavigation of the globe with the goal of proving the Spice Islands lay on the Spanish side of the line established by the Treaty of Tordesillas. Though Magellan was killed, the single surviving ship, the Victoria, returned with a hull full of cloves. That small cargo was enough to pay for the entire expedition and still turn a massive profit, a clear testament to the insane value of spices. The domination of the East India Companies. 17th, 18th centuries, the age of monopoly and violence. The next era saw the birth of a new model of power, armed trading companies. The Dutch East India Company, known as the VOC, was established in 1602 and was the most fearsome of them all. It was not just a trading company, it was a war machine with its own army, navy, and the authority of a state. The VOC's goal was not competition, but absolute monopoly. They waged bloody wars to drive the Portuguese and the English out of the region. The Amboina Massacre in 1623, where the Dutch tortured and executed English traders, cemented their dominance. They then turned their brutality upon the native populations. On the Banda Islands, the sole home of nutmeg, Governor-General John Peter Zoon Cohen commanded a genocidal massacre in 1621, killing nearly the entire native population to seize the plantations. The VOC transformed the spice route from a multinational trade network into a proprietary system protected by blood, bringing immense wealth to the Netherlands, but also initiating the era of colonialism and immense suffering in Southeast Asia, the undying legacy and a changed world. The spice trade changed the world forever. It fueled the age of discovery, gave birth to the first global capitalism, created empires, and destroyed civilizations. Throughout that millennium, Southeast Asia always held an irreplaceable central role. First, as the exclusive and mysterious source of the most precious spices. Then, as powerful intermediary empires controlling the flow of global trade. And finally, as the battlefield for the ambitions of European colonial powers. The next time you sprinkle some pepper or add a clove to your dish, remember that behind that fragrance lies a great historical epic, a story of voyages, empires, and the central role of Southeast Asia in shaping the world we live in today. Thank you for joining us on this epic journey through the history of the spice trade. If you found this story fascinating, please hit the like button, share it with fellow history lovers, and most importantly, subscribe for more deep dives into world history. See you in the next video.